The United States designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern for the purpose of genocide against Christian population. This means that the US is now going to start official procedural proceedings against Nigeria in some strategic interests where Nigeria is a concern, especially in the area of weapons deployment, because they believe that some of the official weapons that is being supplied to Nigeria find its way into the hands of these terrorists that are committing such genocide. So an action is going to be taken against them. One of the sorts of concern with that designation is that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is not just standing on the CPC designation. He is also requesting that the House Appropriation Committee chairman and some of the committee responsible, like Tom Riley, to sit down and come back and report to him. And he claims that he will not stand idle by to see fellow Christians are being killed in Nigeria. Most possibly, there is a program or a plan for the boots to be on the ground in order to help prevent the genocide. Most possibly, this is also one of the factors that they are likely going to consider. It means that the general failure of Nigerian leadership may lead to the US boots on the ground in Nigerian soil. And this is very, very damaging to this country. So it means that there is a general vote of no confidence on the current leadership system of the country. They believe that there is a general failure of leadership to provide security of life and property, and that they must do something extra to be able to help in provision of this protection for the life and property of some of the citizens in Nigeria that they're concerned about, especially the Christians. And I believe that's what it's trying to do. So here is what I want to say. The Muslims in this country should not see this as a direct attack against them. Rather, it's a direct attack against the militant terrorist organization. So, and there should be no issue of anger pointed towards some Christian population simply because of this is happening, but rather there should be a general consensus and understanding between the citizens of Nigeria so that we should all understand that there is a failure of leadership in the country, especially the political leadership and the security leadership, to provide the necessary protection that is required for a peaceful and prosperous society. And that is what led us to this problem. So the problem should be viewed from the lens of being generic, not from the lens of being religious division, that will lead to religious division between the Christians and the Muslims. And do not forget, the only interest group that went to the United States to present in the US Congress this concern are the Christian population. Possibly, if there is a Muslim population's delegation that also found their way to the Congress and expressed concern about the genocidal killings that takes place against Muslim population in Nigeria by the same terrorists, maybe that designation will have also happened. So we shouldn't tag it as one religion trying to confront the other, or Christians are trying to confront the Muslims in Nigeria. No, we should see it as the citizens that are supposed to be protected by the security and the leadership of the state that has failed, and that is why the US is trying to do that. And the US is likely doing that because only the Christian population went and reported the issue, to the Congress. Should the Muslim also go and report, they may likely be designated. So this should not instigate any religious differences in Nigeria, but rather it is something that all of us share, that there is a general failure of leadership, both in the political class, most especially the political class, then of course also the security, particularly the political class, because the political class are supposed to provide all the necessary resources for the security to function. But the political class has failed to provide these things, focus on corruption and stealing. And that is why the security are failing, which is leading to the massive rise and general killings by the terrorists. So this should not instigate the citizens against one another. Rather, we know where the problem is. is coming from the failure of the political class.
President Trump is threatening to go to war on Nigeria a day after designating the West African nation a country of particular concern over the killings of thousands of Christians there. Stephanie Bennett is live in London with more on this. Stephanie.
Hey, John. Yeah, the president has been very vocal in the last 24 hours on Truth Social. I want to read you just a couple excerpts of one that came out 5 minutes ago. The president said, quote, "If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killings of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now, quote, disgraced country, guns a-blazing," he says. He is then hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. And he also says in that post, warning the Nigeria government better move fast. Now, yesterday, the president posted also on Truth Social announcing that he was going to put this country as the country of particular concern, saying something must be done. He's now asking Congressman Riley Moore, Chairman Tom Cole, and the House Appropriations Committee to look into it and to report back.
I think this is going to make a huge difference, and we're going to get right to work on this and get to the bottom of what's happening and give President Trump a full menu of options that we can use to try to stop these killings.
Yeah, and Moore says there's about 15 possible options, including suspension of security assistance and targeted sanctions. Nigeria is, of course, considered one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a Christian, according to the well-regulated Open Doors International Group. Over the years, thousands of Christians have been killed in churches, schools, and entire villages have been burned. Some even brand it a genocide. The Nigerian government vowed today to keep fighting violent extremism and said it hoped Washington would remain a close ally. But some analysts blame the country's inability to protect its citizens over that wide spectrum of armed groups that operate across the country, including Boko Haram.
I think fundamentally Nigeria is a failed state. Corruption is simply out of control. So are the kinds of resources that should be there. It is a major exporter of oil, so it should be a rich country, but a lot of it gets diverted through corruption. So they don't have the resources in order to provide their security forces what they need in order to fight back.
And in order to combat this issue, earlier this year, Washington approved $346 million in arms for Nigeria. Back to you, John.
All right.